Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Road Talk with Cade. Today in my life is August 29th, 2025. Today we will be discussing having a love for the little things in life, the details that only you care to see. Sometimes you can't see them at all until they're gone. Objects so clearly in front of your eyes, you take them for granted until they're no longer there. On Wednesday, August 20th, I drove 15 and a half hours, or 926 miles home, from the big city lights of Atlanta to my little hometown of Reidsville, Wisconsin. During that extended stay in the car, I attempted to record a podcast while on the road. The reason for the channel's title and the original concept for the show was to do just that, to hold a microphone up to my mouth and ramble on and on while cruising down the highway. As I attempted to record this episode while driving, it quickly became apparent to me that this was not going to work. For one, the audio quality was atrocious. The hum of the tires on the road, the sound of the car slicing through the calm air outside at 79 miles per hour simply was way too much background noise to try and even make it work. I still recorded about 12 minutes of me rambling about this or that, as my brain slowly dissolved into insanity. While on that drive, I was able to see the changing of the landscape, starting in North Georgia, where the lush green rolling hills, leading me into and through southern Appalachia, to then crawl my way out of the mountains as they dwindled back down to hills again. In and out of bustling cities like Nashville and Louisville, before crossing the Ohio River, where with every mile driven, I found myself on flatter and flatter earth, which I flew across for the rest of my long drive. While driving, I talked mostly about the beauty of different landscapes, giving updates of location and the time I was making. The other main topic discussed was talking about how hard it is to riff off yourself. To restate what I discussed with the audio quality that you can hear and understand, and pairing that with a flushed out thought process, we're going to get into some real conversation. While on the road for work, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Multiple of those podcasts are headed by a single host, which for most of that time, those hosts are talking to a mic unscripted. Usually they have a page of notes to help them keep track, but still a skill that fascinates me. When I try to do it, I can only talk for about 2 to 3 minutes, in which I seem to repeat myself and not really reach any conclusion or cohesive thought throughout the rambling, leading me to frustration, because when I hear them, they just make it sound so easy, and when I hear myself, I can't get anything to flow together nicely. I don't stutter when it's inside my head, and everything I want to say makes sense. However, when I pick up a mic and start trying to talk into it, my thoughts clear, and I can't seem to keep any conversation with myself moving along. As annoying as it may be for me to try and do, the podcasts I'm listening to are done by professionals. As funny as it sounds to call podcasters professionals, but they do talk for a living, so I guess that is a profession. Whether in the world of sports media or comedy, they are much older, much more experienced, and have many more hours of practice behind a mic. As still a novice when it comes to this hobby, I need to do a better job and step back and learn to take note of the little things. It is hard to talk for just 10 minutes to myself every 2 weeks, but with time and more experience, I will get better at it, even if it's at a desk moving forward, because the original concept of making these podcasts while driving, I fear, is a lost cause. On that drive, I had plenty of time to reflect on life and clear my own head. Without using the GPS, there was no stress of a final destination time, no watching the clock to see every minute pass by. I could be present with myself and enjoy a moment or two while alone on the highway. One of those moments we will delve into later in the episode. For many people, 15 hours alone in a car would be a grueling experience. For me, I rather enjoyed most of my time on the road that day, finding a moment to enjoy the little things I get to see on the road here and there. A Wisconsin license plate, an Oshkosh cement truck, little reminders along the way to tell me that I'm going home. The book that I'm currently reading is titled Gallipoli, written by Alan Moorhead, discussing the events of the British campaign to capture Constantinople and open the Bosphorus Strait in 1915. In chapter 15, he was speaking about the battle between the Anzacs and the Turks during the month of May 1915. This was the second stage of the battle, where a mass of 42,000 Turks tried to drive the much smaller 17,000 Australian and New Zealand troops from their trenches and around the bridgehead and push them into the sea. Along these trenches, the distance between the opposing forces was sometimes as small as a few yards away. During the day of May 18th, the Turks came up over the top in droves, over and over again, in an attempt to cross no man's land and infiltrate the British lines. dying by the thousands with no cover and no chance of reaching their objective. Helpless souls sent out for the pride of their God and their country to a certain death. After the gruesome battle, opposing commanders came together to sign an armistice, to bury the dead and remove the wounded from the battlefield. A few days later, during the 9-hour armistice, there was only a single gunshot fired. No one was killed by it, and there was no answer of what it was for, or why. Soldiers from both sides met on the battlefield to retrieve their dead, and provided them proper burials. During this armistice, the opposing soldiers spent time conversing with each other, sharing cigarettes, trading war trinkets, and building a newfound respect for what is supposed to be their sworn enemy. How can men, trapped in not only trenches, but also abysmal living conditions, become so comfortable with an enemy that they tried to kill just yesterday, and are going to do the same thing the moment the armistice ends? This chapter does an incredible job showing how much the little things matter in life. Like these men, while hunkered down in trenches trying to kill each other from 15 feet away, were tossing back and forth chocolates and sweets from each other's war rations. How beautiful is that? The older I get, the more I can see the joy of the little things in life. Even in the shittiest of circumstances, like stated above, it can't all be bad. To tie this whole thing together nicely, let's revert back to my drive. While I was hauling ass across the flatlands of Indiana, in the distance many times I could see the skyline of small Midwestern towns, places much like my hometown, where no one would think to stop, or much less even care to learn the name of. As I looked west into the setting sun, I could see silhouettes of church steeples, large shade trees, and grain bins, centering around the lives of the good old Midwestern folk that lived there. On my first full day home, I was able to attend a high school football game with some of my friends. As we sat there in the bleachers and watched the game, what did I see? I saw the grain bins. I saw the church steeples, while the sun set behind us over the football field that I grew up playing on. The perfect welcome home to a slower way of living. The beauty of what I saw in those small towns in Indiana carried me home to that place I had been yearning for. One of those small things in life that I fell in love with at that very moment. Later that night, we found ourselves down the street at the pub, catching up, sharing laughs, and shaking some bar dice while telling new untold stories. While I had been gone for months, in that moment, it felt like nothing had changed and nothing skipped a beat. It wasn't the occasion of a football game that I was hoping to find that night. It was that small town community of Reedsville that I was so looking forward to feeling, and I got every ounce of it I wanted. As our night started to die down, Carson said that my cousin was at Gibby's doghouse, which was on my ride home. So I made note of it to stop in and say hi, as I don't get to see my second cousins around enough. A happenstance in conversation that I lucked into by having seen my friends that night. Now I may have changed some since I've been on the road. Some might call it being shaped by the larger world. I'm proud that after 2 years of being gone on the road, I can come back to this place with my head held high. I may say a word or two different from you. However, I love being home. Leaving allowed me the opportunity to fall back into love with the place I thought I'd never want to see again at one point in my life. The small town of Reedsville is what molded me. Raised in the dairy fields north of town, on the original family farm that still holds my cousin's last name. My young heart may have ran out into the world searching for more. It left me being able to love the little thing of Reedsville more than I ever knew. I would never have realized how much I love this place, or how much it means to me, unless if I have moments like I had that night. Nor how much moments like this night mattered, if it wasn't for leaving. Growing up, my grandpa was a fairly quiet man. Many stories of my family's past I lost were because of that, gone with him over a year ago now. Countless stories of what makes me who I am today, a man raised into a culture I will never fully understand, because I can't ask the questions to ancestors past. I spent the rest of that night with my second cousin Mitch and Floyd, again telling stories, talking family history, and shaking a round or two of bar dice. Everything about that night felt special to me. I felt the charm of that little town I grew up in, the familiar faces, the hospitality of a Wisconsin dive bar, and most of all, knowing that I was home. Sitting around that bar was 3 generations beyond our grandfathers, Raymond, Milty, and Eddie, who were brothers that grew up on the farm next door to where I was raised. Even if I don't see them often, there was a natural flow to the conversation, almost of a spiritual nature. In that conversation, we talked about, as Schwans, our love for the little things. A night well spent with friends and family. This episode has gone in every direction, talking a lot about one thing and a little about another. The point I'm trying to get across is, Take a moment to love the little things in life, whether in a conversation with an old friend, or something that brings you joy when you look out the window on the highway. Hopefully, none of us will ever have to spend time in a trench, but if you do, even the smallest of things can help you keep your sanity. The world around us is a big, mean, and scary place. You have no control over what it's going to throw at you. If you can focus on the little things that matter, you can find love in your heart for almost anything. As always, thank you for listening. I love you. Bye.